stood in front of the assignment office on Harmony 7 station, reading the job details on her tablet for the third time. The pay was excellent. Too excellent. That was the first warning sign. Temporary position, she read aloud. 3 cubs, 7 days, previous caretakers have resigned. The word resigned was doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. Was 24 years old, born on Earth in a small town near. She had come to space 3 years ago looking for adventure and had found mostly paperwork. Her job as a cultural liaison meant she helped different alien species understand each other. Usually, this involved translating documents and explaining why humans like to shake hands. This job was different. This job came with hazard pay. She pressed her thumb to the acceptance screen before she could change her mind. A moment later, her tablet buzzed with a room number and a simple message. Good luck. The walk to the diplomatic quarters took 15 minutes. Harmony 7 was a massive station, home to thousands of beings from dozens of species, past tall clicking their mandibles in conversation. She stepped around a group of small, furry merchants arguing over prices. She nodded politely to a warrior standing guard outside an important-looking door. They were hard to miss. They stood 8 feet tall on average, covered in thick silver or gray fur. Their faces were wolf-like, with long snouts full of sharp teeth and bright golden eyes that seemed to look right through you. They had conquered 3 star systems through strength and ferocity. Their culture was built on pack hierarchy, dominance, and the simple belief that the strong ruled and the weak obeyed. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Union for 50 years. To species like they were newcomers. Worse, they were soft newcomers. No claws, no fangs, no natural armor. Humans were small and squishy and breakable. Reached room 7749 and pressed the door chime. The door slid open to reveal chaos. A small cub, maybe 6 years old in human terms, was hanging from a light fixture. A slightly larger female cub was systematically pulling books off a shelf and throwing them at the wall. And standing in the corner, arms crossed, was the eldest cub, a male who looked about 12. He was watching with cold, golden eyes. In the middle of the room stood a massive male in military uniform. High Commander, according to briefing documents, father of the 3 cubs, one of the most decorated warriors in the fleet. He looked at she was an insect that had crawled into his food. This is the replacement. His voice was deep and rough like stones grinding together. A human. I am, she said, keeping her voice calm and steady. I will be caring for your children during the summit. You will fail, said simply. It was not an insult. He said it the way someone might say the sky is blue or water is wet, just a fact. 7 caretakers before you, all failed, a 2, even a, and they are nearly as large as us. He looked down from his great height. You are small, you are soft, my cubs will eat you alive. The cub on the light fixture dropped to the ground with a heavy thump and ran over to stare at. This was Pip, the youngest. His fur was lighter than his father's, almost white, and his eyes were huge in his small face. She smells weird, Pip announced. All humans smell weird, said the female cub, Tala. She had stopped throwing books and was now circling like a predator examining prey. Like salt in something sweet, weak smells. The eldest cub had not moved from his corner. He just watched. I must leave for the summit meetings, said. He did not say goodbye to his children. He did not tell them to behave. He simply walked past as if she did not exist and left the room. The door slid shut behind him. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Pip smiled, showing all his small sharp teeth and Bit's arm. The pain was immediate and intense. Teeth were designed to tear through meat and crack bones. Pip was young and his jaws were not fully developed, but he still broke the skin easily. Blood welled up around his teeth. Tala laughed, a yipping sound like a hyena. First blood, new record. His eyes narrowed, watching for his reaction. This was the test, understood that immediately, Every caretaker before her had failed this test. Some had screamed, some had cried, some had tried to fight back, some had simply run away. Did none of these things. She looked down at Pip, who was still attached to her arm, and waited. After a few seconds, he released her, looking confused. He had expected a reaction. He had expected fear or anger or pain. Instead, calmly walked to the room's first aid station and pulled out a bandage kit. She cleaned the wound with steady hands while all three cubs watched in silence. "That was rude," she said finally, wrapping the bandage around her arm. Her voice was not angry. It was not scared. It was simply stating a fact, the same way had stated that she would fail. "You are not scared," said. It was the first time he had spoken. His voice was deeper than his siblings, already starting to sound like an adult. "I have been bitten before," said, "by dogs on Earth, by my cousin's cat, by a trader who thought I was stealing his merchandise." She finished with the bandage and turned to face the cubs. "Being bitten hurts, but it does not scare me." Pip sat down hard on the floor, his tail drooping. This was not how things were supposed to go. "You should leave," Tala said. "The others all left. You should leave too." "I cannot leave," said. "I accepted this job. I will do this job." "We will make you leave," said. There was no threat in his voice, just certainty. "We always make them leave." Looked at him for a long moment. Then she walked to the small kitchen area of the quarters and started opening cabinets. "What are you doing?" Tala demanded. "It is almost dinner time," said. "I am going to cook." "The station provides food," said. "Station food is not real food," replied. She had found some basic ingredients and was examining them. "My grandmother always said that the first step to making someone feel at home is to feed them properly." The three cubs exchanged glances. They did not know what to do with this human. She did not act like prey. She did not act like a predator either. She just acted like everything was normal, like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Started cooking, humming softly to herself. It was an old song her grandmother used to sing, a Korean lullaby about the moon and the stars. Pip crept closer, his nose twitching. "What is that smell?" "Food," said. "Come help me if you want." "Do not help with cooking," Tala said proudly. "Cooking is for people who want to eat good food," interrupted gently. "In my family, everyone helped in the kitchen, even my grandfather, who was a very proud man." Pip looked at his siblings. They looked back at him. Nobody moved. Kept cooking. By the time the food was ready, Pip was sitting on the counter beside her, watching everything she did with wide eyes. Tala was pretending not to be interested while slowly moving closer. Even had left his corner, though he stayed near the door as if ready to escape. Set 4 plates on the table. She had made something simple, rice with vegetables and a sauce made from whatever protein she could find in the cabinets. It was not traditional food. It was not traditional Korean food either. It was something in between. "Eat," she said, and sat down. The cubs looked at each other. Then slowly they sat down too. Nobody spoke during the meal. But when Pip finished his plate and looked up at with something that might have been the beginning of respect, she knew that she had passed the first test. There would be more tests, harder tests, she knew that too. But for now, this was enough. The second day began with a broken window. Woke up to the sound of shattering glass and found Tala standing in the middle of the living area, surrounded by pieces of a decorative vase. The young's tail was wagging slowly, and her golden eyes were fixed on his face, watching for a reaction. "It fell," Tala said, though they both knew it had not fallen. "I see," said. She stepped carefully around the broken pieces and went to make breakfast. Tala's ears flattened against her head in confusion. She had expected shouting. She had expected anger. She had expected something. Throughout the morning, the tests continued. Refused to speak a single word to, treating her like she was invisible. Pip kept trying to bite her again, though his attempts became weaker each time, as if his heart was not really in it anymore. Tala broke 2 more decorations and ripped a cushion apart with her claws. Cleaned up each mess without complaint. At lunch, she discovered that the cubs had hidden all the cooking supplies. Everything was gone. Pots, pans, utensils, even the plates. She searched the entire quarters and found nothing. "Looks like we cannot eat real food today," Tala said with a nasty smile. "Guess you will have to order station food." Or said thoughtfully, "We could make food without those things." She went to the food storage unit and came back with simple ingredients. Then, using only her hands and a flat heating surface, she made small pancakes. It took longer than normal cooking. Her hands got burned twice. But she did not stop and she did not complain. The cubs watched from across the room, whispering to each other. "Why does she not give up?" Pip asked, not quietly enough. "She will," said, "they always do." But his voice did not sound as certain as before. That evening discovered something important. She was reading through her tablet, trying to learn more about culture, when she noticed Pip staring at the device with intense interest. "Do you want to see?" she asked. Pip looked at his siblings as if asking permission, turned away. Tala shrugged. Pip crept over and sat beside. She showed him pictures on her tablet, pictures of Earth, green forests and blue oceans and mountains covered in white snow, pictures of her family, her parents, her grandmother, her little nephew who was only 3 years old. "This is your pack?" Pip asked. "Yes," said, "my family, they are very far away." "Do you miss them?" Was quiet for a moment. "Every day," she said finally, "but I keep pictures of them so I can remember their faces." She did not notice Tala listening from across the room. Her ears pointed toward them. The third day brought the worst test yet. Woke up to find her tablet smashed on the floor. The screen was cracked beyond repair, and when she tried to turn it on, nothing happened. All her pictures of home, all her messages from her family, all her memories from Earth. Gone. She knew immediately who had done it. Tala stood in the doorway, chin raised, defiance in every line of her body. "Oops," Tala said, "it fell." Picked up the broken tablet. Her hands were shaking slightly. She wanted to cry. She wanted to shout. She wanted to ask why. Why would you do this? Why would you destroy something that meant so much to me? But she did not do any of those things. Instead, she took a deep breath and let it out slowly. Then she sat down on the floor, cross-legged, still holding the broken device. "Tala," she said quietly, "will you come sit with me?" Tala's ears went back. This was not the reaction she had expected. "Why?" "Because I want to ask for your help." Confused and curious despite herself, Tala walked over and sat down across from. "This tablet had pictures of my family," said. Her voice was calm, though her eyes were wet. "Pictures I cannot get back. Pictures of my grandmother who died last year." Tala's tail stopped wagging, but continued, "Some of the pictures might still be saved on the station's network. I do not know how to access them. I am not good with computers." She looked at Tala. "But you are very clever. I have seen how quickly you figure things out. Will you help me find my pictures?" Tala stared at her. In culture, when you hurt someone, they hurt you back. That was how things worked. You did not ask the person who hurt you for help. You did not show them your weakness. But humans, apparently, did things differently. Tala started, then stopped, her tail tucked between her legs. "I did not know about your grandmother." "How could you know?" said gently. "I never told you." They sat in silence for a long moment. Then Tala stood up. "Give me the tablet," she said gruffly. "I will see what I can do." She spent 3 hours working on it. Sat nearby, not watching, not pressuring, just being present. Watched from his corner, his expression unreadable. Pip fell asleep against side, his small body warm against her arm. When Tala finally looked up, there was something different in her eyes. "I found some of them," she said. "Not all, but some." She handed a working data chip. plugged it into the room's display screen, and suddenly there was her grandmother's face, smiling at the camera, standing in her garden back on Earth. Tears fell freely now. "Thank you," she whispered. Tala did not know what to do with that. Nobody had ever thanked her before, not really. She shifted her weight from paw to paw, uncomfortable and confused. "I am sorry," she said finally. The words came out awkward and strange, like she had never said them before. Maybe she had not. "About your grandmother and the tablet." Wiped her eyes and smiled. "I forgive you." That night Pip had nightmares. Woke to the sound of whimpering from the cub's sleeping room. She found Pip thrashing in his bed, his small claws ripping at his blankets, soft cries escaping his throat. She did not know the word for what was happening, but she knew what it felt like. She had been a child once, far from everything she knew, surrounded by strange sounds and strange smells. She had known fear. Carefully, slowly, she climbed onto the bed beside him. "Pip," she said softly, "Pip, wake up, you are safe." His eyes snapped open, wild and golden in the dim light. For a moment he did not know where he was. His claws slashed out instinctively, catching shoulder, drawing blood. She did not pull away. "You are safe," she said again. "I am here." Pip blinked. Recognition came back to his eyes. He saw the blood on her shoulder, and his whole body began to shake. "I hurt you," he whispered. "I did not mean to, I did not mean to." "I know," said. "It is okay. It was an accident. Come here." She held out her arms, and Pip threw himself into them, burying his face against her chest. She held him tight and started to hum. It was the same song from before, the lullaby her grandmother had taught her. She did not know if liked music. She did not know if this was the right thing to do. But it felt right. After a while, Pip's shaking stopped. His breathing slowed. His small body relaxed against hers. He mumbled, half asleep, "Yes. Stay." She looked down at his small face, so different from a human child's face, yet somehow just as vulnerable. "I will stay," she promised. She stayed all night, holding him while he slept. When morning came, she found Tala sleeping at the foot of the bed, curled into a ball, and was sitting in the corner of the room, still watching, still silent. But there was something different in his eyes now. Something that might have been the beginning of respect. Day 4 started peacefully, made breakfast while Pip helped her measure ingredients. Tala sat at the table and complained that the food was taking too long, but there was no real anger in her voice anymore. Still did not speak much, but he had stopped hiding in corners. He sat with them now, watching everything with those careful golden eyes. Was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, she could do this. Then the alarm started. The sound was deafening. Red lights flashed throughout the quarters. A voice spoke over the station's communication system, calm but firm. "Emergency drill in progress. All residents please remain in your designated areas. This is a drill. Repeat, this is a drill." 2. It was just noise and light. Annoying but not dangerous. To the cubs, it was something else entirely. Were predators. Their instincts were built for survival in dangerous environments. When those alarms started screaming, millions of years of evolution took over. The cubs did not hear "this is a drill." Their bodies heard "danger, danger, find safety, hide, survive." Pip screamed. It was a high-pitched sound of pure terror. Tala's fur stood on end, making her look twice her normal size. Grabbed both his siblings and pushed them behind him, his young body placing itself between them and the door. "Cubs," said, stepping toward them. "It is okay. It is just a drill. There is no real danger." Snarled at her. Actually snarled, his lips pulling back to show all his teeth. In that moment, he was not a 12-year-old boy. He was a young predator protecting his pack. "Stay away," he growled. Before could respond, the cubs ran, pushed open an access panel in the wall that had not even noticed. One by one, the 3 cubs disappeared into the maintenance shaft behind it. The panel slammed shut. The alarms continued for another 30 seconds, then stopped. The emergency drill was over. But the cubs did not come out. Knocked on the access panel. "Cubs, the drill is over, you can come out now." A growl answered her, low and dangerous. "Please," she said, "I know you were scared, it is okay to be scared, but you are safe now." More growling, then Pip's voice muffled and shaky. "Go away, you are not Pack, we do not trust you." Sat down against the wall and waited. An hour passed, then 2. Station security arrived. A team of 4 officers, 2 and 2, all carrying stun weapons. "We received reports of distressed juveniles," the lead officer said. "Where are they?" "In the maintenance shaft," said. "They were frightened by the emergency drill." The officer made a clicking sound with his mandibles. "We will extract them." "Extract them," stood up quickly. "They are children, not criminals." "They are children," the officer corrected. "Even young, they are dangerous. We have protocols for this situation." More security officers arrived. Someone brought a device that looked like it could force open the access panel. Someone else mentioned sedation gas. His heart was pounding. She thought of Pip, small and scared in the dark. She thought of Tala, who had just started to trust her. She thought of trying so hard to protect his siblings. "Let me try first," she said. The security officers looked at her like she was crazy. "Ma'am," the lead officer said, "those cubs are in a defensive state. Their instincts are in control. If you go in there, they will hurt you." "They might," agreed, "but I have to try." She did not wait for permission. She pulled open the access panel and climbed inside. The maintenance shaft was dark and narrow, could barely fit. She crawled forward on her hands and knees, following the sound of panicked breathing. She found them about 20 meters in, huddled together in a small junction where several shafts met. 3 pairs of golden eyes glowed in the darkness. 3 small bodies pressed together, shaking. "Go away," said. His voice was trying to be strong, but it cracked on the last word. "I cannot do that," said. She stopped a few meters away from them and sat down, making herself as small as possible. "I promise to take care of you. I am not going to leave you alone in the dark." "You are not Pack," Tala said, but her voice was uncertain now. "Maybe not," said, "but I am here, I am not leaving." Silence. The only sound was the cub's frightened breathing. "When I was a child," said softly, "I was scared of many things. Thunder, the dark, the old house at the end of our street that everyone said was haunted." Pip's ears perked up slightly. "Haunted." "It means ghosts," explained. "Spirits of dead people. My grandmother told me that ghosts were not real, but I did not believe her. I would run past that house every day, my heart beating so fast." "Did you stop being scared?" Tala asked quietly. "No," admitted. "But I learned something important. My grandmother told me that being brave does not mean you are not scared. Being brave means you are scared, but you do the right thing anyway." She looked at, "You were very brave. When the alarm started, you protected your brother and sister. You were scared, but you did what an older brother should do." His eyes widened. Nobody had ever called him brave before. "My grandmother also told me something else," continued. "She said that we do not have to be brave alone. We can share our fear with people we trust, and when we share it, it becomes smaller." She held out her hand into the darkness. "Will you share your fear with me?" For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Pip moved. He crawled forward, away from his siblings, and pressed his small, furry head against palm. "I was so scared," he whispered. "The noise was so loud, I thought something bad was happening." "I know," said, "I know." Tala came next. She did not take his hand, but she sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. "We are taught that fear is weakness," Tala said quietly. "Father says do not feel fear." "Everyone feels fear," said. "Even the bravest warriors. The difference is what you do with it." Finally moved. He was the last to approach and he did not touch at all, but he sat across from her and when he spoke his voice was different, softer, younger. "The others," he said, "the other caretakers, they were always scared of us. We could smell it on them. Humans, all of them, they looked at us and saw monsters." "I do not see monsters," said. "I see 3 children who miss their father and are far from home. I see a brother who loves his siblings. I see a sister who is smart and brave. I see a little boy who has bad dreams." She smiled gently. "I see my pack." Stared at her for a long time. "Do not cry," he said finally. His voice was thick. "That is okay," said. "Humans cry enough for everyone." She held out her other hand, and slowly, hesitantly took it. They sat together in the darkness for a while longer. Then, when the cubs were ready, led them back out of the maintenance shaft. The security officers were waiting with weapons ready. When they saw emerge first, followed by 3 calm cubs, they did not know what to say. Pip was holding his hand. Tala was walking close beside her, and was behind them, watching over his siblings like always, but also watching over. Protecting her like she was Pac. One of the officers reached toward his communicator, probably to call in a report. Growled at him, a clear warning. "It is okay," said gently. "They are not going to hurt us." The officer lowered his hand slowly. That night news spread throughout the station. The human woman had walked into a confined space with 3 panicked cubs. No weapons, no protection. She had walked in and she had walked out with them following her. Like she was their alpha. Like she had always been their alpha. Something had changed. Noticed it on the morning of day 6, when she woke up to find all 3 cubs sleeping in her room. Pip was curled against her side like a cat. Tala was at the foot of the bed, her head resting on its ankles, and was sleeping on the floor beside the bed, positioned between and the door. This was not normal behavior. During breakfast, Pip brought her a gift. It was a small metal device that did not recognize, covered in colorful buttons. "I found it," Pip said proudly. "In the hallway. It is pretty. I want you to have it." "That is a communication device," Tala said, looking at it. "It belongs to someone." "But it is pretty," Pip insisted, "and I want to have something pretty." Smiled and accepted the gift. "Thank you, Pip. It is very kind of you, but we should return it to its owner. Yes, they are probably looking for it." Pip's ears drooped. "But I wanted to give you something." "You already gave me something," said. She pointed to her heart. "You gave me this moment. That is worth more than any pretty thing." Later, Tala found the owner of the device, a confused trader who had been searching everywhere for it. When returned it to him, he looked at her strangely. "The cub stole this," he said, "but she brought it back." "She is learning," said simply. Tala walked a little taller after that. The gifts did not stop. Pip brought her flowers from the station's garden level. Tala showed her a secret viewing port where you could see the stars better than anywhere else on the station. Even, silent and serious, left a small carved figure outside her door one morning. It was shaped like a wolf, made from some kind of dark metal. Recognized it as a traditional good luck charm. She kept it in her pocket, close to her heart. But there was something else happening too, something that worried. The cubs had become protective, very protective. When went to the station market to buy food, all 3 cubs came with her. They walked in a triangle around her. Pip in front, Tala on the left, on the right. Anyone who got too close received a warning growl. When a merchant spoke rudely to about prices, Tala stepped forward with her fur raised and her teeth showing. Had to pull her back. When a door opened suddenly behind them, spun around so fast that barely saw him move. His claws were out, his body tense and ready to fight. "Cubs," said carefully, "I appreciate that you want to protect me, but you cannot threaten everyone we meet." "They could be dangerous," said. "You are small, you cannot protect yourself." "I have protected myself for many years," pointed out. "That was before," Pip said. Like this explained everything. Before what? The three cubs looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Finally, Tala spoke. Before you were ours, she said simply. Did not know what to say to that. The real trouble came on day 7. Ambassador was a tall, thin being with pale blue skin and 4 arms. He was from a species called the, known for their political skill and their talent for causing problems. He had been watching and the cubs for days, and he did not like what he saw. He found alone in the station's observation deck, looking at the stars while the cubs napped back in their quarters. Miss, he said, his voice smooth and cold, I have been observing your interaction with the cubs. Yes, said politely. I am concerned. He moved closer, all 4 hands clasped behind his back. High Commander is an important figure in politics. His children are valuable, and you seem to have manipulated them. Manipulated them. Made them attached to you, made them trust you, made them see you as, he paused, searching for the word, as a leader figure, an alpha, I believe the call it. Stomach tightened. I have not manipulated anyone. I have only taken care of them. That is not what I see, said. I see a clever human who has found a way to influence a powerful family. I see someone who might use those children for political gain. His 4 eyes narrowed. I am filing a formal complaint. You will be removed from this position and investigated. I have done nothing wrong, said, but her voice was shaking now. We will see what the investigation finds, smiled, and there was no warmth in it at all. Until then, I suggest you stay away from the cubs, for your own sake. He turned and walked away, leaving alone with her fear. She did not stay away from the cubs. She could not. When she returned to the quarters, they were awake and waiting for her. Something is wrong, said immediately. Your heartbeat is fast, your scent has changed. I am fine, lied. You are not fine, Tala said. Tell us. So told them. She explained about Ambassador, about the complaint, about the investigation. She told them that she might have to leave. The cub's reaction was immediate and frightening. Pip started to cry, loud howling sobs that echoed through the quarters. Tala's claws extended, her whole body vibrating with anger, and went very, very still. Where is he? Asked quietly. Who? The ambassador, where is he? No, grabbed his arm. You cannot hurt him. He is threatening our pack, said. His voice was cold, adult. He is threatening you. And you are a child, said firmly. If you hurt him, you will be in trouble. Your father will be in trouble. Your whole family could suffer. I do not care. I care. Knelt down so she was at eye level with him. Listen to me. I know you want to protect me. I know you think fighting is the answer. But sometimes the bravest thing we can do is not fight. That makes no sense, said, but his voice wavered. Being strong is not just about claws and teeth, said. Being strong is about knowing when to use them and when not to. If you attack the ambassador, you prove his point. You prove that are dangerous, that you cannot be trusted. But if you stay calm, if you show the station that you are more than what he says. She squeezed his arm. That is true strength. Stared at her for a long moment, then his shoulders slumped. I hate this, he said. I know, pulled him into a hug. After a moment, he hugged her back. His arms were strong enough to crush her if he wanted to. Instead, he held her like she was made of glass. Pip crawled into the hug. Then Tala, pretending she did not want to but doing it anyway. They stayed like that for a long time, 4 beings from different worlds, holding each other in the middle of a vast and uncaring universe. Whatever happens, said quietly, I want you to know something. These past days have been some of the best days of my life. You 3, you are my pack too. Even if you have to leave, Pip asked, his voice muffled against her shoulder. Even then, promised. Distance does not break the bonds between pack members. My grandmother taught me that. She is gone now, but I still feel her with me every day. We will not let them take you, Tala said fiercely. You might not have a choice. There is always a choice, said. You taught me that. Outside the window, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the small dramas of the beings below. But inside the quarters, in the warm light of the lamps, 4 hearts beat together. Whatever came next, they would face it as a pack. High Commander returned on the morning of Day 8. He arrived without warning, as was his way. The door to the quarters slid open, and there he was, 8 feet of silver fur and hard muscle, still wearing his formal military uniform from the summit. His golden eyes swept the room, expecting to find chaos, expecting to find another failed caretaker, expecting to find his cubs wild and angry and out of control. He found none of these things. Instead, he found his 3 children sitting on the floor around a small human woman. She was reading to them from a tablet, speaking in broken, mispronouncing every third word. The cubs were correcting her, giggling, nudging each other and pointing when she made particularly bad mistakes. Pip saw his father first. "Papa," he shouted, jumping up and running across the room. Caught his youngest son easily, lifting him up with one arm. Tala and followed, though they moved slower, as if they did not want to leave side. "You are well," said. It was not a question. He could see that they were well, better than well. They looked healthy, groomed, and happy, happier than he had seen them in months. "Papa taught us to cook," Pip said excitedly, "and she tells us stories about Earth, and she knows this song. It goes like this." He started humming the lullaby that had sung to him. His eyes moved too. She had stood up and was watching the reunion with a soft smile on her face. There were bandages on her arms, he noticed, old bites that had healed, scratches from claws, but she did not look afraid. She did not look hurt. She looked like she belonged. "Father," said, his voice was different now, softer, more open. "The ambassador filed a complaint against, he said she manipulated us. It is not true." "I know about the complaint," said slowly. "It is why I returned early." His heart dropped. "High Commander, I can explain." "You do not need to explain anything." Put Pip down and walked toward her. Each step he took made the floor shake slightly. He stopped just a few feet away, towering over her like a mountain. "I received reports," he said, "from station security, from other residents, from my own sources." His golden eyes studied her face. "You crawled into a maintenance shaft, alone and unarmed, to retrieve my children when they were frightened." "They needed help," said simply. 7 caretakers before you. All of them ran from my cubs. All of them saw them as dangerous animals to be controlled." Tilted his head. "What did you see?" Looked at the 3 cubs. Pip was holding her hand now, having returned to her side. Tala stood close enough that her fur brushed against his arm, was positioned slightly behind her, watching his father with careful eyes. "I saw children," said. "Children who missed their father. Children who were scared and lonely and far from home. Children who needed someone to be patient with them." "Patient," repeated the word like he was tasting it. "In culture, we do not value patience. We value strength, speed, dominance." "Maybe that is not the only kind of strength," said softly. Was silent for a long moment. Then he did something that surprised everyone. He laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound, like thunder rolling through mountains. The cubs stared at their father in shock. They had never heard him laugh like this before. "My mate always told me that I needed to learn more about other species," said. "She said that strength comes in many forms. I never believed her." He looked at his cubs, saw how they positioned themselves around, protecting her. "Perhaps I was wrong." "Father," Tala said carefully, "what about the ambassador's complaint?" "The complaint has been dismissed," said. "I spoke with the station administrators. Ambassador has been warned about making false accusations." Relief washed over like a warm wave. "Thank you, High Commander." "Do not thank me. My children defended you quite strongly in their own way." A hint of a smile played around his muzzle. "They have declared you pack, miss. Do you understand what this means?" I think so. Let me explain it clearly. His voice became serious. In culture, pack bonds are sacred. They cannot be broken by distance or time. When a claims someone as pack, it is a bond for life. He gestured to his cubs. My children have claimed you. They have chosen you as a secondary alpha. This is not something that can be undone. What does that mean for me? Asked. It means you are family, said. It means you are ours and we are yours, forever. It means, added, that if you wish it, you will always have a place with us, not as a caretaker, not as an employee. He extended his massive hand toward her, palm up, as Pack. Looked at the hand. Then she looked at the three cubs, at Pip, who had come so far from the boy who bit her on the first day, at Tala, who had learned that strength could come from helping instead of hurting, at who had discovered that protecting someone could mean not fighting. She thought about Earth, about her family, about her grandmother who had taught her that love was the strongest force in the universe. She placed her small hand in its massive palm. I accept, she said. The cubs cheered. Pip jumped up and down. Tala actually smiled, a real smile that showed all her teeth, and walked up to and bowed his head, a gesture of deep respect in culture. Welcome to the Pack Alpha, he said. Laughed, tears streaming down her face. I am not sure I deserve that title. You earned it, said. Every day, every moment, every time you chose to stay when others would have left. The story spread across Harmony 7 station within hours. Then it spread to other stations. Then to planets. Within a week, it had reached 1,000 worlds. The tale of the human woman who had walked into danger to save 3 cubs. The woman who had answered violence with patience and fear with love. The woman who a proud warrior race had accepted as one of their own. Other species began to look at humans differently after that, not as soft prey to be dismissed, not as weak creatures to be, but as something else, something that the galaxy had no word for. The closest translation came from an ancient poem, written thousands of years ago. True strength is not found in claws or fangs. True strength is found in the heart that refuses to surrender. True strength is found in the soul that protects even when protection seems impossible. Humans, it turned out, had this kind of strength in abundance. Stayed on Harmony 7 station. She continued her work as a cultural liaison, but now she had a second job too. 3 times a week she visited the quarters. She cooked meals with Pip. She studied with Tala. She practiced fighting forms with, though she was terrible at them. And every night she told them stories. Stories about Earth. Stories about her grandmother. Stories about a species that had looked at the vast, cold universe and decided to meet it with warmth and compassion. High Commander watched his children grow. He saw become a leader who understood that true power came from inspiring others, not dominating them. He saw Tala become a brilliant engineer who used her intelligence to build rather than destroy. He saw Pip become a diplomat who could find common ground with any species. And he saw, always at the center of it all, the small human woman who had changed everything. One day, years later, Pip asked a question. When you first came to take care of us, were you scared? Of course, admitted. Then why did you stay? Thought about it for a long time, then she smiled. Because my grandmother taught me that the things most worth doing are often the things that scare us the most, and because, she paused, looking at the 3 young who had become her family, because I knew, somehow, that you were worth staying for. Pip hugged her tight, his fur warm against her skin. Outside the window, the stars shone bright and eternal, and somewhere among them, on 1,000 different worlds, beings of every shape and size were learning a simple truth that one small human woman had proven. The strongest force in the universe is not weapons or claws or dominance. The strongest force in the universe is love. And humans, for all their softness, for all their lack of natural weapons, for all their apparent weakness, had more of it than anyone had ever imagined. That was the true gift of humanity. That was why, in the end, the cubs had been right all along. She was not just babysitting. She was their alpha. And she always had been.